Okay, so we're going to go ahead and try to pop this cover off as part of our camera install. We got to get to the back of the Sync 3. And 4D Tech had a video on this. I believe they took their plastic pry tool, I have this guy right here, and removed the back portion of the hood. Almost feel like I can get my fingers under there, but I believe they removed the back portion of this first and kind of pop the whole thing up, because I believe the clips here face forward, so you have to pull it outward instead of upward. So I believe they recommended taking the back side off first, so we're going to give that a shot. Okay, this thing is very difficult to get off. You got to get your fingers up under this back lip. The 4D Tech video online tells you how to get them, or on YouTube, tells you to pry up under here. I didn't see that prying helped at all with a pry tool, because these clips are in there really deep. You can see they're angled too. See, the front ones kind of pull out. You have to pull up and out away like this, and I recommend some shop gloves. Your fingers aren't going to love you. And it's a lot of force, and when it comes out quick, so just be ready for it. You feel like you're gonna break it. I don't know, hopefully nobody does, but you can see here it is. Once it gives up, it comes out quick and easy, but one of my clips right there stayed in, so you can see the little clip in there. Make sure when you get those guys out, you're super careful. I'm gonna put something back behind it because they like to fall back in the car. You can order them, but I hate having spare parts rattling around the car. So that's that. We're gonna unbolt the head unit, pop the hatch, start working the wiring, and see what we get. So we're gonna go ahead and start getting access to the underside of the hatch. The camera I have is going to replace this tail light here. They have a version that replaces the handle. Not sure, it didn't have very good reviews. I got one, I tried to get the best quality camera I could, so we'll see how that goes. So we got to get under there, pop this plastic panel off. So get a couple Phillips in here, and I think this guy just pops off from what I can tell. So we're going to go ahead and get these little trim panels off, and then get this bigger panel off. So anyone doing this rear camera install or taking this rear panel off, you're gonna have to be ready for some frightening moments. Well, maybe I'm just a wuss, but this guy's held in. I hate these metal clips. I mean, they secure stuff nice, but pulling these out makes the craziest noise, and you're just worried you're gonna break the panel. So this one came out nice, and the other one seems to be pulling away from the clip from the plastic in there. I feel like when you take these off, they never go back in tight again. Hopefully that's not the case, but you can see, I mean, I can't really tell from this angle, but it even bows the metal out a little bit. So that's one. You take the screw out and just pull it straight out. Give it a few good yanks. It's probably better to yank it hard, get it out quick. So I'm gonna do the other side. So I found one screw up here. This is in that little handle that you pull down. Well, I guess you could pull down to close the hatch. So there's one screw in there we're gonna have to remove. Then we're gonna try to pull this big old plastic panel off and hope we don't break anything. So getting that back panel off was a nightmare. Sorry about the mess in here, but you can see, trying to pull that loose, mine cracked pretty bad. Found the part online. I'm gonna buy a new one. It's about 160 bucks, or maybe 120 on eBay. Anyway, yeah, it sucks. It cracks right around these clip poles, pillars on the end closest to where the latch is. These things they're in there, and they just want to keep going back in as you're popping it free. I think the best is to work your way from the corner around the back and then go forward. The problem is you got a guy in the middle too that really gets in your way. And unfortunately, this guy broke off, both of these ones, kind of on this diagonal section broke off. So I don't know, I mean, maybe it just depends on the quality of this particular panel that you have, whether or not it survives. I would assume it should survive. I mean, I even tried getting a pry tool, plastic pry tool up in there, and grabbing these tabs and trying to push it. compress it. But I mean, there's no way on this earth you're getting to this guy. These guys are nearly impossible to get to. I mean, in the one in the center, at some point you just have to pull the thing off. So I'm not sure how Ford expects you to get this off without breaking it. I guess it's possible. Maybe they have a special procedure. I didn't see anything in the shop manual. But yeah, if you're gonna do this, be real careful, because you could end up taking a, you know, $100 and whatever, not even $150 camera install if you're doing Forscan and all that, and adding another $100 to it when you break this guy. So just be careful. Here's the back of the hatch with that panel removed. So to get to the area we want to install the camera, we've got to remove. There's one bolt there. There's another one right here. Oh, and hopefully there's no crazy clips holding that little light assembly in, so we got to pop those off. I'm looking for any connectors. We'll see if there's any connectors. We'll just be carefully pull it out after that, so we'll see how that goes. These bolts in here are 10 millimeter, so I just wanted to... Okay, there's a lot more bolts for that little trim panel. There's another guy right up in here, one on the other side, and under the wiper motor assembly, there's one in there. I believe... Let's see, there's another guy in there. There's the one I took out. There's another one up under here. What I can tell, that's all of them, but we're just gonna work our way through it. See if there's any tension on it still. Looks like there's a clip right here that you could probably try to ease out when you're doing this. This is a part you definitely don't want to break because it's color matched. And it'll be a lot more expensive to get it painted as well. So to get this guy off, you just gently, obviously mine's already loose, you just gently pull it. Those little clips right there, just barely hold it in. They're nothing nasty like everything else. So you just kind of gently pull it off and it'll come free. Then you can rotate the light bulbs and take them out, and I'm gonna pop this clip here, just remove the whole panel, and then work on getting the camera installed. So here's our camera installed in the panel. To take the one side out, you just pull this tab in, push down, the pod comes out. So here it is. You got, oops, get our connections here handy. To get the LED to work, the license plate light, that's this red. And I guess it depends on what model you get. I got this guy because like I said before, the handle one I read some reviews and people had a hard time getting it in. This one didn't take a whole lot of force. A little ledge fit in, pushed it in, and you can see it locked right in there. So it's nice and flush. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have any issues with this guy. Snapped in pretty good, so you can see it's clicked in good. So anyway. Yeah, that's the route I went. So you're gonna have to wire this guy, splice it into the light wiring that was on this side for the license plate, and snake these guys through, and then we start trying to fish the main AV lines through, and then the line to the reverse light to power the camera itself. So now for the fun part, we've got to get our RCA cable up and through. I think I'm going to take it through this hole first. It'll be easy to get it back over here if I need to. You got to get through here, all the way down, and out this guy. So we got some rigid wire here I just happen to have. I think Fiesta called it mechanics wire. I honestly don't know where I got this. I think I got it from work ages ago. So I'm going to wrap up the end of it, just so it doesn't tear into any of these harnesses. I'm going to wrap it up on the end with some silicone tape and see what I can do, see how far I can get it run up. This is sealed off. It's welded in here, so you're not getting your hand in here if you thought to grab it and get it along. So you gotta run it through the gap if you want it clean. So as you can see, I just bent a little service loop on the end of this just so the sharp end doesn't poke in anything, and just wrapped up the edge with a little tape just so be extra cautious because I can't see what's going on in there. We're gonna go ahead, feed this guy through and see what we get. Quick note, went the wrong way. Go through this hole first. You'll just end up bunching up, so yeah. So yeah, go through this top hole first, pop off a little cover like you would to put a wing riser in. So this process is not for the faint of heart. I finally got this thing through. I had to cut the end off. It got stuck in there at one point in this bend. And I ended up having to break the cable to get it out. I'm gonna have to test it to see if it's any good. It's not gonna be long enough anymore, so I'm gonna have to extend it either way. So I ended up routing one wire to here, up, the other one down with the hard wire or coat hanger, whatever you want to use. Snaked the wire down to here, pulled it out, taped the other end and pulled it back through to here. And that's how we got this far. Yeah, and you can see there's not a lot left, so we'll see. I think what I'm gonna do is all these cameras come with a positive lead in them, and it looks like it's the same gauge as the power line. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut the wire once I get it into the headliner through this grommet and run the red one from this to the reverse light instead, and then just find a new line to run up forward. I think that's going to be the ticket. So after a lot of bad words and thoughts of giving up, we got it through. Like I said before, I'm going to use this line and splice it into the power cable for the camera, wire this guy to the brake light. So we got it all the way through. It's a real pain getting through here. I just talked about that. Got it through this plug, pop it on both sides, run your fish wire through, and now I've stripped the wire back because it's too short from having a break. And I'm going to run the red wire over here, and I'm going to take the brake light out and wire it to reverse and just find a ground in here somewhere to tie into. Actually, sorry, when I'm up here, I'm going to find a ground to tie into. Yeah, that'll be fun. Actually, I think what I'll do is I'll use the same ground for that the LED is going to use. Anyway, so anyway, pick this guy off. I think I'm going to cut it pretty close and use a better wire. This is a pretty tiny gauge wire. Check, if you have a multimeter, I highly recommend checking all your ends, make sure they're good, because it really sucked to find out now that you broke your wire halfway through. So anyway, I'm going to take the taillight off. So the taillight's out. Looking at this assembly, it seems like they spare every expense when building this car. There's nothing to these things. I can't believe they charge so much for the aftermarket ones. Anyway, find a home for this guy. Put it right back here for now. Got your turn signal, brake light. This little guy with white and black, I believe, is your reverse light. I am actually going to go check it out real quick just to make sure. But the idea is, got a pretty well sealed grommet here, so I actually may try to figure out where he lives, because I don't want to tear into this grommet. It's a nice seal, so I may see if there's a wire harness on the other side. Okay, so here it is, right here. Here's that wire harness, goes up into here. This is where we want to splice in, and yeah, that's. Tell you what, now that I cut that wire up, I'm like, man, I should have done it over here. But anyway, such is life. So, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, but I need to route that line down. Try to snake it through here. I may just run that little red wire, we'll see. Once you find a suitable line, or if your kit comes with a long enough one, I ended up trying to pull it back, spliced mine in here to a nice long RCA that I already had, and I just tucked it in along this edge. You can see it's right here, and I'm just tucking it in to the trim panels as I go around. And I'm going to go ahead, it's up here, and I'm going to run it, let's see if I can get a better view, run it along the trim down to the well, and I'll probably have to start taking panels out once I get there. So I think mileage is going to vary here for each person, but I ended up running the video cord all the way up, tucking it under the headliner, not in between the gap, but up under the headliner, under this panel, all the way down. And you can pop the glove box out by pushing these two little guys in on either side, pop it down, and you can reach in here. There's some clips, and you can pop this panel off. So I'm going to pop this panel off, tuck it in the rest of the way, run it under, and I should be able to get it up
to the Sync 3 unit.
And just to make it so you're not yanking on anything, you can pop them from the inside. And it looks like we have a perfect hole right here. I think, yeah, there's a blockage. That may not be perfect, but there's also back, you see that hole back there? I think that's where I'm gonna run it through. So I'm not a huge fan of these splice adapters, but I used one on the inside white line I showed earlier. Tucked everything back up. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that out without the camera. Put the car in reverse with the battery hooked up again and confirm that I indeed have power there. So let's see how it goes. So now that we have the coax run all the way to the front, we've got power. We tested power to the red light, or the red line when we went into reverse. I just taped these two guys up to hold them. This is the power plug and then the RCA that mates to the camera. I spliced the high side together and I'm gonna run the return through the grommet in here so then I can hook it up to the return on the LED, and then I'm going to splice the LED into the panel, and that should do it. So if you happen to get one of these cameras that has the built-in license plate light, originally I went with T-taps, or not T-taps, but I can't remember what kind of taps they were. There's little crimp taps. And my LED wasn't coming on. I thought it was broken. Ended up using my meter, cut the lines, ended up using my meter, and there was no voltage there. They just didn't sink in deep enough on some of these really fine gauge wires. So you're not going to use the bulb holder anyway, so you can just lop it off with some wire in case you need to splice it back in, and either solder or splice them. I'm getting too lazy to solder, so you can see those incandescent bulbs get real hot. You can see how they're burning on that. And this car only has 6,000 miles, so I'm thinking I'm gonna change these out to the other one out to LED. Plus it's gonna look stupid if one LED in the other, but that looks pretty bad. Make sure you have a meter if you're gonna do this type of work. This project is a bear, and if you don't have a meter to check your lines as you go through them and you're making connections, you may end up in a situation where you got a lot of wire run, a lot of backtracking. That would not be fun. So I'm gonna button this up. Originally I was gonna run my ground for the camera power through to this this license plate light, but I realized it's kind of silly because everything's on the other side. So I'm gonna pull it back through and find a place to either lug it or find another wire to tap into. To get the main camera, I've temporarily got everything run through this grommet, or this hole right now with the grommet pulled out. I'm gonna have to put a bigger slice in this and then tape it up to seal it to fit the RCA and power jack through, because I don't want them sitting in here. So that's where we're at with the rear. So I'm buttoning this up in the back. You can see I've taped this whole area up. I ran a slit right at the base, which makes it hard to wrap it with tape to seal it, but it's the only area you can easily get those big connectors through. So got that all done. So we're gonna pop this guy back in, fish the wires through, and clean everything up on the flip side of the hatch. Okay, so now it's time to button it up. Pop your grommet back in. She's all nice and sealed up. Connect your light back in. Make sure you got your latch hooked up. Slip it in, button it up. Make sure everything's clear on the other side and get ready to test it. So here we are, everybody all dressed up. Got your video, power, popping through this hole up here. It's all nice and tied in, all nice and snaked through. Everybody's buttoned up. We're gonna close the hatch and see what the image looks like on the screen. Don't forget to put your 6 trim plate bolts back in the holes under here. So on the inside of the car, we removed the head unit. There's some other videos out there on popping this connector and opening it up. I found this little RCA adapter on Amazon for $5. It's okay, it's not that great. I ordered the pins, contacts from Mauser, crimped them in with some needle nose pliers, and positive, the center of the RCA goes to pin 14, and the negative side, the outer ring, the shield, goes to pin 15. Didn't really see that documented anywhere. Of course, I could have missed it. So now, there's this little pocket over here. I'm snaking just a bare wire down. Not a bare wire, but a scrap wire. That's about the only place I can drag up my RCA through, so this will be the guy I bring it up. I'm gonna tape it in and bring her up through, plug her in, we'll see if it works. All right, we're all powered up. Going into reverse. Bam. We have backup camera. It's a long, arduous process, but I think we're good. What does this plus do? Doesn't appear to do anything. All right, so just gotta button it up, put the cowl back on, tighten up the deck, put the glove back, box back in, put this panel over there back on. That's it, we're all done. So I hope this is helpful. Honestly, if you are not really willing to take some risks on panels, because like I've showed before, I lost that one panel in the process. I mean, it's possible it'll be somebody could have better luck with it, or maybe there's a better way to take it off that I missed. I don't know, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. I was already into it, and I decided to keep going, but it was a real pain. The coding part of it's the easiest part with Forscan. I'll show that at a later date, but other people out there have that information. That was the easiest part, though. Everything else was a real pain. So I hope it helped. Carefully think about it before you do it, because you're in for several hours, a lot of unpleasant pulling on panels, and some risk of breaking things. So have a good one.